Farmers today have satellites guiding their tractors, drones mapping their fields, and AI predicting their harvests. Yet walk onto almost any working farm right now and you will find iron and steel machines built decades ago still doing the exact same job without a single software update. No touchscreen, no GPS chip, no subscription fee, just raw mechanical genius that engineers keep trying to replace and keep failing. These 10 machines were built to last a lifetime. Turns out, they were built to outlast everything. Number 10. The New Holland 273 Square Baler. Few machines in agriculture have earned the kind of loyalty that the New Holland 273 Square Baler commands to this day. Produced by Sperry New Holland from July 1968 through July 1977, the 273 was part of a long lineage of small square balers that the company had been developing since Edwin Nolt's revolutionary self-tying pickup baler design first changed the industry in the late 90s. The New Holland 273 Square Baler requires a minimum of just 25 horsepower to operate, meaning almost any tractor on a farm can run it. It produces compact rectangular bales that can be handled by a single person, tossed onto a wagon, stacked in a barn, or fed over a fence rail. That simplicity is the entire point. A round baler produces bales that weigh anywhere from 1,100 to 2,200 pounds. You need a tractor with a front-end loader to move them. The 273 produces bales a person can actually carry. Parts for the 2073 are still manufactured and sold today. Pickup teeth, knotters, needles, bill hooks. The knotter mechanism, which ties each bale with twine using a process of hooks and fingers moving in precise coordination, is one of the most elegant pieces of mechanical engineering ever installed on a farm machine. When it works right, it is mesmerizing. When it fails, every farmer within earshot knows about it. But even after 50+ years, those machines keep getting fixed and put back to work. Small farms, horse operations, and hobby farms around the world still depend on the 2073 and its direct descendants. Number 9. The Vermeer 605 Round Baler. In 1972, Gary Vermeer of Pella, Iowa, designed and fabricated a round baler after the design of the AC Roto baler, and the Vermeer Company began selling its Model 605, the first modern round baler. That single decision by one farmer-turned-manufacturer changed the entire hay industry. Gary Vermeer's first model formed a 6-foot wide by 7-foot diameter bale that weighed more than 2,000 pounds. The concept was radical for its time. Instead of the labor-intensive process of handling small rectangular bales, a farmer could now bale an entire field alone, leave the bales sitting in the field, and come back for them at any time. The design has a thatched roof effect that withstands weather. Grass is rolled up inside the baler using rubberized belts, fixed rollers, or a combination of the two, and when the bale reaches a predetermined size, either netting or twine is wrapped around it to hold its shape. The Vermeer 605 lineage, through the 605C, 605M, 605 Super M, and beyond, became one of the most trusted names in round balers. The 605 series specifically built a reputation for heavy-duty construction that outlasts lighter competitors. Farmers who run them for custom hay operations report tens of thousands of bales through a single machine with routine maintenance. The core mechanism, a belt-driven variable chamber, a net wrap system, a rear gate that swings open to eject the finished bale, is the same concept Gary Vermeer proved out in 19. The Vermeer name is still on round balers being built and sold today. Number 8. The John Deere 4020 Tractor. If there is one single machine that defines American agriculture in the second half of the 20th century, it is the John Deere Forte 20. Produced from 1963 to 1972, the Forte 20 was part of John Deere's New Generation series. It delivered 101.3 horsepower and served farms across the United States and internationally. John Deere manufactured 184,879 total units at factories in Waterloo, Iowa and Mexico. The 4020 established a new benchmark that competitors scrambled to match for years. It was more than a successful tractor. It was the machine that defined an entire generation of farming, cementing John Deere's market leadership for decades to come. What made the 420 so significant was a combination of power, versatility, and a revolutionary optional transmission. The power shift transmission allowed gear changes without clutching, a first for row crop tractors that dramatically improved productivity. It turned hard labor into efficient operation. The John Deere 6.6L six-cylinder diesel engine displaced 404 cubic inches with a compression ratio of 16.5:1. More than 60 years after its debut, the John Deere 420 continues to be relevant. Thousands of units are still working daily on farms around the world. Its availability on the used market is excellent. Strong parts support and straightforward mechanical systems make it especially attractive. Small and mid-sized operations, collectors, and hands-on owners value its durability over excessive electronics. That last point is critical. The 4020 has no computer, no emission system, no software that locks you out of the machine if you perform your own repairs. You can diagnose every problem with your eyes and hands. In an era when right to repair has become one of the most heated debates in agriculture, the 4020 is a machine that always belonged to the farmer who bought it completely. Number 7. The International Harvester 1460 Axial Flow Combine. This is arguably the most revolutionary machine on our entire list. In 1977, after extensive engineering efforts and a bottom-up design, International Harvester released the 1440 and 1460 models of rotary harvester. The rotary design by International Harvester was the first of its kind to be mass-produced, and its patent over the design gave IH a competitive advantage over its rivals, including John Deere, Massey Ferguson, New Holland, and others. The Model 1460 delivered 170 horsepower with its 436 cubic inch engine, a 24-inch rotor, and offered a 180-bushel grain tank. Traditional combines of the era used a series of straw walkers, reciprocating racks that shook grain loose from the straw to separate the harvested grain. The 1460 threw all of that out. It used a single large-diameter rotor spinning inside a cage, processing the crop in a continuous helical path. The result was higher throughput, less grain damage, and fewer moving parts. Engineers worked for a number of years on the concept before beginning production on the 1460 in 1977. The company invited a small group of producers to purchase the first pre-production axial flow combines and provide feedback. Farmers took a chance on an unconventional machine, and it paid off for everyone involved. The axial flow design has been refined through 6 generations of development. Today's Case IH axial flow combines the direct descendants of that 1977 machine, remain the gold standard for rotary harvesting. As the axial flow has been improved, the basic principles of the axial flow design remain. The rotor still spins, the crop still travels in a helix, the grain still falls through a concave. The 1460 proved the concept was correct, and nobody has found a better one since. Number 6. The John Deere 7000 Max Emerge Planter. Planting is the most precision-critical operation in all of crop agriculture. Get it wrong, wrong depth, wrong spacing, wrong population, and the damage is done for the entire season. The machine that set the modern standard for corn and soybean planting accuracy was the John Deere 7000 series planter, introduced in 1973 and refined with the Max Emerge update in John Deere introduced its first commercially successful no-till planter, the 7000 series. The Max Emerge version added finger pickup seed metering, true V-openers, and angled closing wheels, a combination that placed individual seeds with far greater accuracy and consistency than anything available before it. The finger pickup metering system uses a rotating disc studded with small rubber fingers that reach into a seed pool, grab individual kernels one at a time, and carry them to a seed tube that drops them into the furrow. The precision of that mechanism dramatically reduced skips, places where a seed is missing, and doubles, places where 2 seeds land on top of each other. The 7000 Max Emerge was a landmark machine. Its row unit design became the template that virtually every subsequent corn planter was built around. Even today, the fundamental concept of finger pickup meter, a true V double disc opener cutting a precise furrow, and closing wheels firming the soil around the seed is what you will find on the most expensive planters being built in 2026. The electronics have been added on top. The mechanical core came from Number 5. The New Holland 3116 Square Baler. While the 273 defined one era of New Holland's square baler legacy, the 316, introduced as part of the 300 series around 1978, represents the refinement of everything New Holland learned from all those earlier machines. The 316 was a mid-size baler designed to handle higher PTO horsepower tractors that were becoming standard on farms through the late 1970s and 1980s. The 300 series balers from New Holland represented a significant engineering step. They were built to accept the higher windrow volumes that came with larger mower conditioners, and they incorporated improved knotter designs that reduced the notorious mid-season breakdowns that plagued older machines. The 316 produced a bale of roughly the same dimensions as its predecessors, but could process hay faster and with less downtime. What the 300 series balers demonstrated was how hard it is to actually replace a tool this well adapted to its job. Decades after the 316 left production, part suppliers still manufacture replacement knotters, needles, pickup teeth, and twine arms for it. The used market for functioning 316 balers remains active because the machine does something no round baler can do. It produces a bale that one person can carry, stack, and deliver by hand without any additional equipment. That is a capability that has never been made obsolete. Number 4. The Massey Ferguson 5110 Combine. Massey Harris, which became Massey Ferguson, holds a unique place in combine harvester history as the company that pioneered the practical self-propelled combine in North America. In the early 1950s, combines were equipped with what John Deere called the variable speed drive, which allowed the operator to speed up and slow down the machine within limits to match harvest conditions. The Massey Ferguson 5110 Combine, produced through the early 1970s, was the evolution of that self-propelled tradition. It was a conventional straw walker combine, meaning it used oscillating racks to separate grain from straw, powered by a Perkins diesel engine. The MF510 was popular on smaller to medium-sized grain farms because it was manageable in size, relatively straightforward to maintain, and produced reliable harvests across wheat, oats, barley, and soybeans. What Massey Ferguson established with machines like the 510 was a culture of maintainability. These machines were designed with the understanding that a farmer in the middle of harvest could not wait 3 days for a dealer technician. Everything on the 510 was accessible. Belts, bearings, concaves, sieves, all serviceable in the field by a farmer with basic tools. That philosophy produced machines so durable and so repairable that working examples are still found pulling harvest duty on small-scale farms today, more than 50 years after they rolled off the production line. Number 3. The Valmont Center Pivot Irrigation System. Colorado farmer Frank Ziebach invented the center pivot irrigation machine, which revolutionizes irrigation technology. The system consists of sprinklers attached to arms that radiate from a water-filled hub out to motorized wheeled towers. Ziebach was awarded a patent in 1952 for the self-propelled sprinkling irrigating apparatus, which was purchased by Valmont Industries in Robert Dougherty started Valley Manufacturing in Valley, Nebraska. In 1952, he met Frank Ziebach and bought rights to his center pivot irrigation system patents. The company was renamed Valmont Industries and is now a worldwide diversified metal manufacturer and the largest builder of center pivot irrigation systems. Valmont's early center pivot systems, developed and refined through the 1950s and 1960s, established the mechanical principles that every center pivot system built since has followed. A main water supply pipe running underground to a central pivot point, a long lateral pipe supported by motorized A-frame wheeled towers, and sprinkler heads delivering water uniformly as the entire structure rotates around the center. The circles you see in aerial photographs of the Great Plains, those green rings stamped into the landscape, are every one of them the direct result of this design. By the 1970s and 1980s, Valmont and competitors like Valley and Reinke were producing center pivot systems of increasing span and sophistication. Valmont later produced the first linear center pivot irrigation system and eventually developed the first electronic control panel that could accept GPS directions for variable rate water application. But the machine doing the actual watering, the rotating arm, the towers, the sprinklers, remained structurally and mechanically unchanged from what Ziebach and Dougherty proved out in Nebraska in the early 90s. Number 2. The John Deere 4440 Tractor. If the 4020 defined one generation of American farming, the John Deere 4440 defined the next. Introduced in 1978 as part of the Iron Grill Generation 2 lineup, The 4440 produced 130 horsepower from a turbocharged 6.6-liter six-cylinder diesel engine. It featured John Deere's quad-range transmission, a 16-speed partial power shift gearbox that gave operators precise ground speed control across a wide range of field conditions. The 4440 arrived at a moment when American grain farms were expanding rapidly. Bigger fields demanded more horsepower, and the 4440 delivered it without crossing into the category of a four-wheel drive articulated tractor, which required a significantly higher capital investment. It was the sweet spot, more power than the previous generation, still manageable by a single farmer operating alone. The sound guard cab that came with it was a significant comfort upgrade, reducing operator fatigue on long harvest days. Today, the 4440 remains one of the most sought-after used tractors in North America. Its diesel engine is known for extreme longevity, blocks routinely passing 10,000 hours of use with proper maintenance. Replacement parts are abundant. Every component is mechanical, meaning a competent farmer mechanic can diagnose and fix any problem without dealer involvement or proprietary software. In an era when new tractor software licenses and repair restrictions have become major farm policy issues, the 4440 is a machine that cannot be locked out, subscribed to, or remotely deactivated. It simply runs. Number 1. The Case IH1460 Axial Flow Combine Legacy and the John Deere 6600. We have already discussed the 1460 as a revolutionary design, but the machine that the 1460 displaced, and the one it competed with most fiercely through the late 1970s, was the John Deere 6600 Combine. Introduced in 1969 and produced through 1977, the 6600 was a conventional straw walker combine that represented the absolute peak of pre-rotary combine engineering. The 6600 used a six-cylinder diesel engine producing approximately 100 horsepower. It featured a 15-foot grain platform and a 112-bushel grain tank. Its 6 straw walkers processed crop with a reliability that made it the dominant combine on American grain farms through most of the 1970s. John Deere produced the 6600 at their Harvester Works facility in East Moline, Illinois, and it became one of the best-selling combines in history during its production run. What the 6600 represented, and what its descendants through the 720, 9400, 9600 series continued to represent, was the philosophy that a combine must above all else be reliable during a harvest window that cannot be missed. Grain combine fires are responsible for millions of dollars of loss each year. Fires usually start near the engine where dust and dry crop debris accumulate, or when heat is introduced by bearings or gearboxes that have failed. The 6600 was designed to be inspected, cleaned, and serviced quickly between days of operation, minimizing that risk. Working 6600 combines are still found in grain fields today. On small farms where a $500,000 modern combine is not financially justifiable and where the grain volumes don't require it, a maintained 6600 does the job completely. Parts availability remains strong because so many were built and because the design was simple enough that fabricators can reproduce worn components. The 6600 is over 50 years old. It is still harvesting grain. That is the only endorsement a farm machine ever needs. If you want to see 10 more machines that belong on this list, subscribe and we will get there. See you in the next one.